44, where you sleep out every night and the only law is right. Back in the saddle again. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
46 minutes after, does that ever bring back memories? For over 50 years worth of radio and records, personal appearances, TV and movies, Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and Gene Autry have colored the dreams of little cowpokes around the world. And Roy and Dale now host their own show, Happy Trails Theater, for the Nashville Network. So does Gene. His is Melody Ranch Theater. Yesterday today they're making their first TV appearance together at a taping of Gene's show. That will air early next year, but we've got them live for the very first time ever on TV from Gene's set in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it's nice to have you with us.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you. I'm glad to be with you.
It really is a privilege.
That did bring back some memories. I just wonder, you all have done so much together. You've even appeared in movies together. Why did it take so long for you all to get together on TV?
Well, I guess that when I was making pictures, well, I did an awful lot of tours, one-night stands. So while I was away, why, Roy was back in Hollywood making pictures, and then by the time I got back, he was out. So our trailers didn't seem to cross very often, except a few times socially.
We only had one crew at Republic, so when they were working with you, I was on the road trying to make a living, and when they was working with me, so was Gene's, because we weren't making that much money.
But Roy, in the papers, there was always talk about this rivalry between you two, the battle of the singing cowboys. Was that really true?
Honey, that was plotted by the head office and our publicity department, and they made a big thing out of it because Gene was fighting the studio, and so was I was fighting trying to get started, and they switched it back and forth, and that's basically what the whole thing was about. As far as Gene and I, we never had a chance to even get acquainted, so we had nothing to be mad at one another for. See, we were competitors.
It made good copy, right? It made good copy in the paper.
Yeah, that's right.
And Dale, you were really the first woman to have any kind of a substantial role in the Westerns. Am I correct?
Yes, I guess so. Prior to that, women were pretty much scenery in a scene, you know, and everything was for the cowboy. But Mr. Yates, who was head of Republic at the time, went to New York and saw Oklahoma, and he decided that Roy's pictures should be more like Oklahoma, with a larger girl's part and more singing, more horses, more budget, more everything, and that's the way it started.
We must have done Oklahoma at least 17 times.
That's right.
You two met on a picture, I know, but then it seems like as soon as you got married, Dale, you then disappeared from the movies. Why was that?
Well, for one thing, the kids wouldn't believe the stories, really, if we were married in real life. That's one thing. But then, of course, we worked together later on in our television series, and I played myself just as Roy has always played himself, as Dale Evans, as a Western character.
Besides, you were an instant mother. When we got married, I had 3 babies, so
that's right.
She had her hands full there, too.
You better believe it. I got a lot more questions I want to ask you guys. Let's take a commercial break for just a moment. We'll come right back right after this with more of Roy Rogers, Dale Evans, and Gene Autry after this from Ocean Spray. It is now 51 after. We are back talking with Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and Gene Autry in Knoxville. Do I have to say anything more? I sure remember watching all the Westerns. Do you think that, Gene, that the real, honest-to-goodness Western will ever come back as far as being remade, new ones being made?
Well, yes, I think so, because I think everything runs in cycles. And I think that Western pictures were so big in the beginning of the motion picture industry that it's always been the backbone of the picture industry. It used to, when the producers were having trouble, well, they would grab Tom Mix or Buck Jones or John Wayne, and of course when I came along as the first singing cowboy, that was something quite different. But I think that Western pictures will always be a very important part of Hollywood and motion pictures.
I think it would be great if they came back. Dale, in doing this research, I found a little something. your quote, which says, "To tell you the truth, I never did like wearing all those cowboy clothes." Dale Evans didn't like wearing cowboy clothes?
I never thought that I was the type. I never thought, I really wasn't a horsewoman. You know, simply because I was from Texas, they thought I could ride a horse. And that was a grim mistake on their part. I did have to take lessons, but I don't wear them a great deal nowadays. But, you know, I travel a great deal, and I do concerts. And people ask so often, why don't you make some more, or Gene Autry and Roy Rogers, why don't you make some more great Western pictures for our children to see? That's why I'm so grateful to Ross Bagwell Communications and the Nashville Network for Happy Trails Theater and Melody Ranch to show the old pictures, because they're brand new to a lot of young people.
And people also, not only the movies and the TV shows, but people come into, you've got this big museum, the Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Museum. How many people go through there every day? A couple 100,000?
Not every day, no, honey. I have about that much every year.
And you have said that every time you walk in there, you tear up. What makes you cry?
Well, I got some very fond memories in there. Yeah. Old Trigger was one of the greatest horses I've ever seen. And he's standing there beautifully mounted, rearing on his hind legs. And then I go a little farther, and here's Dale's little horse, Buttermilk. And Bullet's sitting there looking up at Trigger. And then we go around the corner, here's Trigger Jr. And we have, it's a personal museum. It's a story of mine and Dale's lives. And we start out with our kids. And we've, like all families, we've had our share of tragedies. We've lost 3 children. But we still got 6 great kids, 16 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. So we have a lot to see when we go through there, and it's a story. It's a personal museum. It's a story of our lives.
Gene, you have all made it not only in show business, but in the business part of it, all successful business people. What do you think made it different for you that you did so well?
Well, I don't know. Just being at the right place at the right time, I guess. It's the way I feel about it.
Gene?
And
you.
Yes.
Yes. She said, ask you about made it so well in the business world.
Well, I think I learned a long time ago that it's not what you make at the time, but it's how you invest your money. And I have a wonderful wife that was a businesswoman. She was a banker. And I think that Jackie has done more for me in the last few years to have fine investments that's going to last forever when I decide that I don't want to be involved with baseball or something, but that's it.
Well, we welcome all of you here on the program this morning, and thank you.